I just want him to come back already. It's not easy being a woman trying to manage everything alone.
Many of my comrades have been through so much. Some lost limbs or suffered nerve damage. I feel like I can't quit this when so many are enduring so much.
When young people joined armed resistance groups after the military coup, there were hopes of victory within a few years. But almost 4 years on, the sacrifices being made by both the fighters and those they left at home are weighing heavy. Hello and welcome to Doh Athan, a weekly podcast about human rights stories from Myanmar. It's brought to you by Fondation Hirondelle. This episode is produced by a Doh Athan journalist. Names and voices may have been changed to protect contributors.
Sometimes when I see other families, I feel a bit down. There's no one I can really rely on around me. And that gets to me. When I watch kids playing happily with their parents, I wish my son could experience that too.
30-year-old Ma Kyi Pyar lives in a suburban area of Yangon with her 6-year-old son. His father hasn't been home in almost 4 years. They talk on the phone, but it's not the same. Before February 2021, the family lived a modest but happy life together. Ye had regular work in a shop, and Ma Kyi Pyar stayed home to care for their son. In the evenings, they'd watch movies together. Although they weren't well off, they were able to manage on Ye's steady income. But after the military coup, Ye left to join the People's Defence Forces, or PDF. Overnight, it was like Ma Kyi Pyar was a single mother.
It all happened so suddenly, so I wasn't ready at all. I had to ask my parents for help, and it's been a constant struggle to take care of myself and my child.
Ma Kyi Pyar has a university degree, but she struggled to find work in the post-coup shrinking economy. As a last resort, she became a street vendor, selling snacks in the neighbourhood. Her parents started to resent Ye for leaving because they saw their daughter struggling. And even though she supports his political stand, Ma Kyi Pyar finds herself growing frustrated.
It's not great right now. Prices are high, and I'm the only one earning, so things are tough. I have to provide for myself and my son, and with my husband not bringing in any income, it's a heavy load to carry.
Ye is currently stationed with the PDF in Bago's southern military zone. Their base is near a military outpost, so there are frequent clashes. So Ma Kyi Pyar is also worried about that.
Of course I worry about him. Anything could happen to him out there in the battles. I'm stuck here, trying to handle everything on my own, taking care of our child, and at the same time I'm constantly worrying about him.
At his barracks in Bago, Ye understands her frustrations.
I feel like I'm failing, like I'm not living up to my responsibilities. I wonder why I love my country so much, because it's hard to protect my own family and the community I built when I'm stretched so thin. My wife isn't bitter. She is just carrying this huge burden alone. She has no job or a place of her own, and with a young child, I become her only outlet for all this frustration.
On the other hand, Ye sees people in conflict regions in far more desperate situations than his own family.
My family lives in a city where they don't face heavy weapons or attacks. They just have to scrape by. But in the places I've been, it's a different story. People don't even think about how they would live anymore. They're just surviving however they can.
Ye and Ma Kyi Pyar are not the only couple facing this kind of challenge. Over the past 3 years or more, numerous fighters have left families behind. 25-year-old Htut Khaung is from Sagaing region, where he was a farmer before the coup. His wife and 2-year-old son have faced extreme hardship since he joined the resistance forces. After he left, his then pregnant wife moved back to her parents' home. She's managed to get some work as a daily farm labourer, but she earns just 5,000 kyat a day, which is not enough to deal with the soaring costs of living. Then her father broke his leg and couldn't work, so their financial struggles got worse. Htut Khaung took leave when he could to go back and help his wife. But in the last year, she began to lose patience with the situation.
Whenever we talked, she kept asking, "Why aren't you coming back yet?" Her family pressured me too, saying, "You married our daughter, so why aren't you taking care of her?" They even asked if I was going to keep fighting or return to be with them.
One day, Htut Khaung was on the front line facing enemy forces when he got a message from his wife asking for a divorce. He said it was one of the most difficult moments of his life.
It was so hard. There I was in the middle of a fight, but my thoughts kept going back to my family. Should I shoot the enemy in front of me? I kept thinking about my own family.
Comrade B. Lone is commander of the Royal Peacock Column in Bago's southern military zone. He also left his pregnant wife to join the revolution. He says resistance forces face many challenges, particularly from having to separate from their families. In these moments, comrades rely on each other for support, cheering each other up.
In our forces, we try to be there for one another. When someone's struggling emotionally or mentally, we try to do peer counseling. We will listen to anyone who wants to open up. We even support each other financially. Everyone chips in. We do what we can to help, including helping out with money.
Commander B. Lone says there are 400 fighters in his battalion and only 26 are married, but 4 of those marriages have failed since the men joined the resistance forces. The National Unity Government supports the PDFs under its command with funds to keep the fighters going. But they're not paid salaries, and there's no money in the coffers to support families who've lost their main breadwinner. Commander B. Lone says that in his battalion, some soldiers have brought their families to live with them at the barracks. And after a frontline mission, fighters can take leave to visit their loved ones. But this is only safe if their families are in resistance-held areas. That wasn't an option for Goye. His family is in Yangon. He was even unable to go to see his mother when she was dying, something which broke his heart.
This was the saddest moment of my life. I've never felt that down before. I couldn't see my mother even when she was dying. What made it even worse was knowing she didn't even remember me before she passed away. I couldn't attend her funeral or send her off properly. I had to pay my respects over a video call. It was devastating. Truly the saddest moment I've ever experienced in my life.
These kinds of separations have caused hardships for so many families across Myanmar since the military coup. As the years go by with no immediate end in sight to the conflict, it gets harder for partners like Ma Kyi Pyar to cope or to hope.
I just want him to come back already. It's not easy being a woman trying to manage everything alone. Sometimes I even tell him, if you're not coming back, I might just marry someone else. But that's how bad things have gotten. We argue about it all the time.
Meanwhile, Goye is not about to give up his frontline duty. Injuries haven't stopped him. He's had a broken arm, and he still has shrapnel in his leg from a mine explosion. But again, he thinks of fellow fighters who have had it worse.
Many of my comrades have been through so much. Some lost limbs or suffered nerve damage. I feel like I can't quit this when so many are enduring so much. If I stop, I would feel like I failed them. That's why I keep going.
But Goye also dreams of a life beyond the conflict with his family.
After all this, I just want a peaceful life with my wife and son. I'd love to open a small grocery shop so I can work from home and be with my family. If I go and work outside, I would still have to be away from them. I want my son to get a good education, and I would like to support him from the sidelines. That's all I want.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Doh Athan. We'd welcome your feedback on social media, and please follow or subscribe to our pages. This project on human rights reporting is supported by Fondation Hirondelle with the help of our donors. You can listen to our podcasts via the Doh Athan Facebook page. They can also be found on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify and Telegram. You can also listen every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. and Sunday morning from 6 to 7 a.m. on Voice of America Radio. Please tune in again next week.